Coming up on The Weekend View, celeb couple Kristen Bell and Shepard on how watching each other's love scenes with other actors has been good for their relationship. Not buying it. A sneak peek at the ice-cold reunion of an ex-couple on the new season of Summer House, and how the new Bridget Jones movie is taking the older woman, younger man relationship into the mainstream. It all starts now on The Weekend View.
Welcome to The Weekend View. So most Hollywood marriages barely make it past the wedding reception. But Kristen Bell and Shepard have been going strong for 11 years. How did they do it? She recently told E! News how it all comes down to transparency and a lot of trust. Oh, that's so beautiful. Watch.
We root for each other. When he got to make out with Minka Kelly on Parenthood, I was like, yes, get it. Even if Dax hooks up with the most beautiful person in the world at work, I know he's committed to our family. We're just human, right? So maybe there could be a day where I'm like, I'm actually really nervous that you spend time with that person. And he could say, oh, okay, let's talk about it. What makes you nervous? What are you thinking? We have a very open communication.
So she's admitting that she gets paranoid once in a while. So don't you think a little jealousy can help the marriage or the relationship?
That sounded super healthy to me, though. I liked the way that she talked about it. Yeah, I mean,
they go to therapy. They're open about it too.
Yes, and they're lovely. We've had both of them here separately, but I've always struggled with. I think trust is the most important thing in a relationship. I could never be an actor dating another actor, though. I couldn't imagine like my husband doing an intimate scene with someone else. I would get jealous by that because there's like built-in chemistry with it, and I just think it would be hard to watch. So you really have to have a lot of trust to do that.
I'd like to do some love scenes with Pedro Pascal.
No, I don't, you know, I don't think, I'm just not as evolved as she is. Like, I realize that I'm not as evolved as people that are in therapy because I suffer from, like, jealous rages and stuff. So if I saw Manny making out with somebody, regardless of if that was his job, I could still fly into a jealous rage.
Well, doctors are.
Can you imagine on a set
during the day?
Dr. Manny would be like, "Get my wife out of here."
Like I couldn't.
Wait a second, a doctor does the chest thing.
I don't like that.
Can check every part of you.
She didn't marry a gynecologist.
I don't think I would.
That was a choice.
Yeah.
But I can hear that. Don't you hear the therapy in there, though? I love that they're very transparent about couples therapy. I remember way back when Reese Witherspoon and Ryan Philippe went to therapy, or I hope I'm saying his name right.
They didn't make it, though.
They did not.
Philippe.
No, but Howard Stern once said, don't people go to therapy when they have problems? And I've never thought that was the right way to do it. You go to therapy to help have the tools to communicate better, to have that space to be able to share. Max and I have done therapy, not consistently, but off and on when we run into we always say we need a tune-up.
But you could just yell at each other and just get it all out.
That's never as productive.
But wait, what initially drove you to therapy with Max?
Well, because I've always been open. I've had therapy on and off since I was 20. And when I needed it, it helped me. So I thought, why would I all of a sudden be with this other person and the combination of us would just be awesome all the time?
And it's about having the tools to have healthy conversations.
So what the therapist does is she steps in and she notices, as you know, with your own patterns, and it helps you, one, see your partner so innocently without assigning narratives to them and speaking
sometimes
more
they
clearly.
deserve the narratives.
But what I like that Kristen Bell said is she's like, it actually hasn't happened where she's been like jealous in a romantic scene. But if it did, that they would be able to have that conversation and address it. Like that to me is like maturity in a relationship.
But sometimes in those couples therapy, you say things that like he's really lousy in bed.
Right.
For example.
Well, we've never bumped into that problem.
He's not a generous lover.
Don't they
you think
remember
that he won't
that?
remember that?
Well, we don't have. I don't know because that's not how our therapy sessions go.
So you're not being completely honest?
No, our sex is great.
Yo, excuse me.
That's not their problem.
You went to
really not
couples
my
therapy?
problem.
I only went into couples therapy when we were about to get a divorce.
But
It
that
didn't
people
work.
wait too long.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it would have saved you, but I think it shines a light on things and gives you the chance.
Yeah, the thing
to
with you
repair.
is you got married at an older age. I was
I was
22.
very old.
Were you
I didn't know
honest though,
anything.
Joy, when you were in the therapy? Were you
Yeah.
honest and said things like that?
Yeah, but we were done by then.
So
We
you
were
said
done.
you suck in bed.
Whatever. No, I didn't say that, but I would. I didn't. We were honest, and we were at the end. That was it.
I flew
But was
into a
very
rage
young.
once because Al spent a bunch of money on a painting without telling me
I
anything.
remember that.
I was furious with him. I mean, a bunch of money. So we ended up going to, we had just gotten married. We ended up going to counseling, and he agreed that he would not spend up to, that if he spent more than X amount, he would tell me about it. And then he spent all the money he's wanted, and he didn't follow through, and I decided I'd spend the same on shoes.
Yeah. That's a good compromise.
I'm also pro separate bank accounts, so you can spend whatever you want, but it's coming out
Yeah.
of yours. And then having a joint one as well.
Right.
But like your golf trip, I'm not coming out of mine.
My money is my money, his money is my money.
You guys should come to see my show, my first ex-husband.
We've seen
because
your show.
I'm talking to the audience
Oh.
now. I'm there until Sunday, and then we have a new cast. But it's really exactly what we're talking
is.
about.
It is. It's good.
about what happens to marriages and why they get divorced.
Yeah.
On the new season of the Bravo series, Summer House, housemates and former lovers Carl and Lindsay see each other for the first time since she announced that she's pregnant with another man's baby. Oh, whatever. He's having trouble finding closure. Of what, zipper? But she has definitely moved on. Take a look.
Hi, good to see you. What's going on? Who we got in here? I'm always hungry. Hey, handsome. Hi, Paige. Hey, buddy. Wow. Chill. I'm a little It's okay. Soggy. You make me wet. It's good. How are you? Good man. How are you? Good to see you, bro. Carl. Nice to meet you. Hi, Gabby. Oh. Hand kisses.
I don't blame him for not saying hi to me at all. Like, I actually don't care.
Valley girl. Did you notice they both ignored each other in that? She was on
Well,
two,
she kinda noticed
and he was
him,
talking
though.
to every woman. So, I mean, let's say you ran into your ex somewhere. How would you behave?
You say hi. I mean, there's a basic decency of, it's so obvious that you're sitting there. All I would say is you don't have to talk long. Hey, Lindsay, move right along. It's just, otherwise it draws attention it didn't need.
It
All right, but
depends.
this was a bit scandalous. He called off the engagement, and like 4 or 5 months later, she was pregnant with another man's baby. Now, there's no
How long before
judgment. She
the
had
wedding?
wanted a baby.
How long before the wedding did he
Like
cut off?
3 months, 2 or 3. September he broke up. It was November the wedding. I think there's just a lot of feelings there, and they might have needed a little bit of space.
Yeah.
Can I just say, white people always say that like Mexican, like Latino telenovelas are too melodramatic?
That was
¿Qué es esto,
melodramatic.
tú? This is like Peyton
But what would
Place.
you do if you ran into one of Al's exes?
Oh God, run.
For her own safety.
For my life, for your safety. Take my shoes off and run as far as I could.
Yeah.
I think my issue is I'm always the one that gets dumped. Probably because of my jealous rages or just whatever, like what happens. So I get dumped. I'm the dumpee. I'm not the dumper. And so I don't want to talk to somebody that dumped me on New Year's Eve, Eric Council.
that guy, yeah.
I don't want
What's
to
his
talk
name again?
Eric Council. I don't want to talk to him.
He's
So
cute, though. You
if
did
He
show us a
was
picture.
cute. But if he
But
like
he's not a
walks into
surgeon.
the room,
He's
no,
not
he's
married.
not. No.
But why would they dump you on New Year's Eve? That's
That's
obnoxious.
mean. That's a
It's
low blow.
mean,
It's
but
low.
I always get dumped. And so for various reasons.
And I think it's good because then you start the year off. Olvídate.
Do you know that that's what he said to me? He said he was going to start the new year off right without me. That's
I
what he
run
said.
into exes.
So look at you now.
So now
Look
I
at you
can't
now.
ever talk to him again because I would spew such terrible things.
Yeah,
So
you
I
still-
generally think that if you're
No.
happy in a new relationship, you won't actually care when you see an ex. Like I've run into
no,
exes at
you
weddings,
would.
and it's like maybe like his existence annoys me a little, but I don't even really think about it.
existence annoys
Like, it's just
you.
sort of like he's over there.
He breathes is kind of
That bothers me,
inconvenient for
but-
me.
Yeah.
But like I don't think about it.
You can
much.
get triggered all of a sudden to a scene and then turn on them
Especially
again.
if you're the dumpy.
Well, either way. We'll be right back. We'll take a break.
The Weekend View is sponsored by Rock Skincare.
the question. How sick are you of romantic comedies about old guys hooking up with young girls? Well, good news. The new movie, Bridget Jones, Mad About the Boy, is turning that trope on its head. Watch.
Mommy! Mabel's stuck up the tree! We're going to die!
Everything all right, Mrs. Darcy?
Oh, my God.
Hiya.
I've climbed a magical man tree.
Hello?
You can call me Rockstar.
Bridget Jones.
But you can call her Mummy.
Is that the tree Adonis? If you don't shag him, I will. How old are you?
28.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm 29.
Did you say 21?
Okay, hold on.
Did you say 21 or 29?
No, he said 28, right?
She's
then he
supposed
said
to
just
be,
kidding, 12.
hold on, she's supposed to be in her 50s, and he's 29. Now, if that was,
29.
if the guy were in his 50s and she was 29, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. That's the truth.
I agree.
But the fact that this has been flipped now is why this is a topic to
That's
discuss.
because men are more immature and their frontal lobe takes a long time to develop, I believe past 25.
Yeah.
So it makes sense if there's, an older man with a younger woman because she's probably, I don't
Mentally,
sound sexist,
at least
but
in line with him.
There must be a gap that's too big. Like I read, I don't know if this is true, you can correct me. I heard that Cher, who's in her 70s, is going out with a guy in his 20s.
Yes, so Cher was at the SNL. At the SNL weekend the other day, she came out in like a leotard and see-through tights, and her boyfriend, who is 40 years her junior, his name is Alexander Edwards, was sitting there on stage, and she's singing, "If I could turn back time," and I'm thinking, Cher, if you turn it back, he's gonna be a zygote. He was 3 years old when the song came out.
Yeah.
But Cher can do no wrong.
But what
in
do
my
you
eyes.
talk about? What's on TikTok?
You have sex, you don't talk.
Yeah, I don't think it's about the talking. I think it's about the chemistry, probably. And it isn't
chemistry? Come on.
There's also, this is like a huge genre right now. Like Anne Hathaway was in The Idea of You, which was actually,
that was really
that
good.
one was very believable because she's 40 and she's Anne Hathaway. Like 25-year-old dudes would want to be
40
dating
is
her.
different from 78.
Although Cher looks damn good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
There's been a lot of these. I like it. I just personally don't think I would have much to talk about with that person.
Yeah,
Do you remember The Graduate? I mean, it was a huge movie.
She was supposed to be 40, he was 30. When I was
not
39...
No, that was it?
After I got divorced, I was 39, I had a boyfriend who was 29. That's nothing.
I dated a guy for 4 years that was 18 years older than me. And what I would say is it really matters on the individual because it wasn't just sex. It was actually, we were very close. I saw a future for us, except that my mom did say it's all fun right now while he's this age, and you're going to age at different paces if life goes the way it should, and maybe that will change the way you live. But beyond that point, day to day, I didn't sit there and think, oh my God, every day he's this. We never thought about it.
Yeah. I don't think this is that much of a conversation anymore. I think older women with younger men is much more accepted today than it was.
How much older is Al to you?
20 years.
He's 20 years older.
And nobody
Max
bats
is
an
5.5
eyelash.
years
Right.
younger than me.
Not yet,
How
but-
much younger than you is Steve?
He's 7 years younger. I like him younger.
Yeah,
You have to keep up with me.
I like
Sorry.
Manny's younger, and I like it because, like, you're at the airport and you've got that carry-on that you got to lift over your head. He's like, I got that, baby. I'm like, okay.
I like that,
and
too.
throws it
Yeah.
over the head, because he can throw the things over
And
the head.
The
I
male
can't.
sexual peak is different from the woman's.
Yep.
The male sexual peak is like early 20s,
Oh, honey,
maybe?
with
I think it's
Viagra,
18
that
and
peak
the women
never
are
goes
36.
away.
I know.
I mean,
right,
it's
here's another-
ruined. It's ruined so many lives.
There's a new trend on TikTok inspired by Janae Cecilia's poem, I Met My Younger Self for a Coffee. That's cute. That imagines what you would tell your 15-year-old self. Let's watch that.
I met my younger self for coffee today. She rambled on about her anxiety, OCD, and ADHD. I assured her that one day it will all feel less heavy. She's anxious and excited to hear what happens next. She asked me who her Prince Charming is, and I tell her we have a girlfriend.
I met my younger self for coffee. She said she was a waitress, but she wasn't going to stay doing that for long. She asked me what I did for work. I went on to flip a few houses and became an actual builder. But I too was a waitress once.
If only I could just go back and give that younger version of me a hug and just say like, oh, the best days of your life are still to come.
And so, yeah, that's sweet. Well, we got in on this trend too, so we told you what we thought. Go ahead.
I met my younger self for coffee this morning. Her clothes didn't fit her body or her style, but I could see how hard she had tried. I was wearing a jogger set and she told me I looked comfortable. I shared that it wasn't just the clothes, but the skin I sat in too.
I just got coffee with my younger self, and she was battling with imposter syndrome and feeling like she wasn't supposed to be in the rooms that she was in. And I told her, down the road, you'll be in rooms you never would have imagined being in, and you will deserve to have been there.
I met my younger self for coffee. She was wearing her hair very straight. It didn't look good. She had also overslept for her audition with Spike Lee, her callback audition for Jungle Fever. But I was able to reassure her that she would become a co-host of The View and that curly hair became back in fashion.
I don't drink coffee, I drink margaritas. My younger self is 30 years old and does not exist, and I don't do TikTok. Leave me the hell alone.
I met my younger self for coffee, and I said to her, listen, don't worry about anything. In a few years, they're going to come up with keratin and Botox. It's all going to be great. You have anything else to say?
Yeah, go easy on yourself.
Yes.
You're going to be okay.
I would say that, you're never really too old to try something new. Okay, we'll be right back.
The Weekend View is sponsored by Rock Skincare.
The lovely Alyssa was on the Views Behind the Table podcast with Brian this week, so check it out.
We had yesterday on the show star Hollywood producer Will Packer with us.
Yes.
He was a great guest,
He was
I
a
thought.
great guest.
And he was talking about the art of the pivot.
Mhm.
And this is when it came to his career. He was talking about it. And it made me think of you a little bit because few people have made a bigger pivot than you from the White House to a talk show host. Yeah. When you left the White House, you almost had to start from scratch. Tell me about that.
I think that you learn more from failure than success.
Yeah.
And when Trump lost, I resigned from my post in the White House. I had nothing lined up. I had an idea that I was going to start like a consulting practice and do just kind of like PR consulting. Got a couple of clients, and let me tell you, this was the most humbling experience of my life. You go from being the top spokesperson in the country, walking into the White House every day, feeling powerful. When you meet world leaders, they greet you as the honorable. And I was like really like begging for work from like third tier like attorneys general candidates in Virginia in like a random cyber business out in Colorado, but I'm somebody who's always had to work to be able to pay my bills.
Right.
And, it wasn't an option to sit it out and see how things go. But the humbling part of it was important to me, but also the having to like get out there and find work and to not have too much pride to be like, you know what, sure, I might have had this fancy title, but things did not go the way I thought they would. And I now need to like pull myself up and go pave my next, path ahead. And then I think a lot of folks kind of think like I left and then voila, I was on TV and got like these big deals. It wasn't at all. It was about a year that I was struggling, and I was doing the work that I could find, and I felt very rudderless. I didn't feel passionate about what I was doing, but I was at least happy that like I was picking myself up and just moving forward, like one foot in front of the other. And I still did a little bit of TV as I was asked, wasn't paid to. And honestly, it was mostly because I wanted to get on CNN or wherever so that I could get more clients, so that I could make more money.
Right. So even at that point, you weren't thinking of yourself as a TV host.
It wasn't like, I've got to get a TV job. But CNN eventually came to me. It was about almost exactly a year after I resigned. It was December of 2021. And I got my first TV contract. And I was really happy. I was very I felt honestly humbled being at CNN, because there were a lot of journalists I had fought with when I was at the White House. There were a lot of people that I felt like I'm going to listen, I'm going to pull from the expertise I have, but this is not the world I ever expected to be in. I never saw myself being on TV. And then enter The View, which was the biggest wild card ever. And I never thought I'd be good at it. And to be honest, I wasn't really at first.
The best advice I've ever been able to give any host, and even ones that have been here a long time, is to show more of what we see backstage on the air. And that's really it, just to be as authentic as possible. And you're fun to chat with backstage. And so the more of that you show, more of yourself that you show,
try to be normal,
the better
try.
it is. Yeah. And it's been a successful pivot. You've done a great job.
Thank you.
All right. Let's talk about Bravo. Let's make you happy.
Oh, right. Yeah.
In the Bravo world, the big story seems to be all about, and I'm saying this definitively, like I'm very deep in the Bravo world, it's all about Craig and Paige.
Yes.
Who broke up. Now, what's interesting about this relationship is it's Paige who wants to wait to have kids and get married so that she can build her career. Craig was ready now, and it seems to be a major reason why they broke up. Was it refreshing to see Paige hold her ground in this way?
100%. So I respectfully could have seen this coming from miles away, and not because they weren't in love and like a good couple, but Paige is younger than him. She's 5 years younger. She's, I think, 30 or 31. She's crushing it. She's got the Giggly Squad podcast. She's like doing Today Show interviews around fashion. She's like traveling all over, doing all these different things. And like her star is really rising. And she's in New York City. And I can relate to being that age where you want to grab all the work that you can and you want to build what you're trying to. And he's older and he lives, he's 36 or 37, lives in South Carolina and kind of wants to be like a male Martha Stewart. Those worlds are a little tough to align. They can. Like, I think with love, you can make it work. But the X factor in this is that it's the woman standing up for what she wants rather than sort of like the trope or the more common idea of like, she wants to get married, she wants to have babies right now. And I really respect her that she's like, this is who I am, this is what I want. I may want all those things, but not right now.
Especially when you're young, you don't usually think things through in that way. You're having fun, you're enjoying each other, and maybe you're not really making the lists, and you don't want to like.
It doesn't seem sexy, but it really matters. Like wanting the same things around the same time is extremely important.
Yeah, I mean, I often I've been married over 20 years, and I actually kind of remark occasionally like, man, we got lucky. Like we synced up on all the important stuff, but we only dated for a year before we got engaged, and then only were engaged for less than a year. So I mean. And then, it worked out. But man, you roll the dice a little bit.
My husband the other day joked that he's like, I bought low and I could sell high because I was like unemployed when we got engaged. I was like, help, I need work. Like, and he's like, and now you're doing so well. But I kind of love that like we literally got engaged and we're planning a wedding at what was in some ways the lowest point in my life, like career-wise and professionally and like trying to find my footing. But like he stepped in so much to be like, I'm gonna help you find yourself. You're gonna get through this. He didn't love me any less. He wasn't worried about my happiness and ability to get it together down the road. But there was always a light at the end of the tunnel.
Nobody should get married until they're together for 2 years. That is from me to you.
30 years old also.
Well, wait a minute, except if you get pregnant, then you may want to rethink that.
Why? Today doesn't matter.
Oh, God, because it's better if you have...
2 years, the sex is starting to dwindle a little.
Don't get married before 30.
That's when you can see if you can
you
talk to the person.
You make it sound so appealing.
Then you can see if you can talk to the person.
Good luck.
The first 2 years, you're too hot to try. You can't make a decision. Trust me on this. Catch the Views Behind the Table podcast wherever you get your podcasts or watch it on YouTube. Whatever you want. Have a great day. Take a little time to enjoy the view. The weekend.